love horror. I love films. But one thing you might not know is I also love the theatre. So it was obvious when Back to the Future went, oh, we're doing a musical, that I would go watch Back to the Future the musical, as it's one of my favourite films, and I enjoy musicals, so fuck it. Back to the Future the musical, well hey. Which luckily I did get to see last February before shit hit the fan. So why not cover a brief history of a man who has transcended theatre, film, TV, all the way back to the original novel he was written into. Today we're going to cover a man who a lot of people don't realise is actually an OG Universal monster. If you don't believe me, I have a box set of Universal monsters. He's in it, alongside the Mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula, Werewolf, the Invisible Man, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Bride of Frankenstein, and of course, my name is Ash Lynch, and this is the brief history of the Phantom of the Opera. Now, we do have to start at the beginning, and by beginning, I mean Gaston Leroux. In 1909, The Phantom of the Opera was written by Gaston Leroux, a story of a deformed man in love with a Swedish soprano, Christine Daae, who, after standing in for the lead soprano, becomes part of a love triangle with the Phantom, whose name is Eric, and Raoul, a childhood friend of Christine. After the Phantom's persistence, including dropping a chandelier on a couple dozen audience members and nearly drowning Raoul, the Phantom willingly surrenders Christine and Raoul's freedom, with Eric passing away and Christine visiting his grave on the anniversary of his death. And who said romance is dead, eh? But then in 1925, that vision was brought to life by the legend that is Lon Chaney, the man of 1,000 faces. The film follows the original story, with the changes that Eric is chased to the canal, where he is thrown into it by a mob, and he unfortunately drowns. I say unfortunately, but this guy in this film was a terrible, terrible monster. Real bad. Which is why, during the war, in 1943, Claude Rains would become the Phantom. However, this one was loosely based on the book. The Phantom is called Eric Claudine, a former violinist who was dismissed by the Opera House after revealing that he is losing feeling in his left hand. The Phantom has been funding Christine's vocal lessons, but now penniless, is lost in what to do. The love triangle is now extended with Anatole, a baritone of the Opera House. After Raoul's gunshot resulted in Eric being crushed by rocks, Christine decides to marry neither Raoul or Anatole, but instead to focus on her career in dedication to Claudine's love for her and her future. It will take a while, but in 1962, Herbert Lom became the Phantom, named Professor Petrie, whose music was stolen by Lord Ambrose, and while attempting to destroy the music, started a fire, and upon the fire growing, he attempted to throw water in his face to stop him from burning. However, the water was actually acid. Oops. Deforming his face. Yeah, Phantom, it was a lot different. He started baiting, it was all nice and that. And then by the end of it, Phantom basically turns around to Christine and says, I want you to perform my opera that I wrote with you being in this particular role. Would you do it for me? And they do it. It goes fine. It goes well. He sat in his box, he's watching it, and it goes fine. Until the Phantom servant, the dwarf, is discovered in the catwalk above the stage during the performance. Jumping onto a chandelier, the rope begins to break. Phantom, seeing this, dives from the box, pushing Christine out of the way and being crushed by the chandelier. In 1974, the Phantom of the Paradise. The Phantom of the Paradise, which is... yeah. A deformed composer writes music for the woman he loves to sing and only for her to sing. However, a record producer steals the music to open his rock palace, the Paradise. The film has become quite a cult classic as a rock horror musical. But we can all agree there is only one true rock horror musical.
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
Yeah. And surprisingly, this would star the woman who would actually go on to be in the sequel to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Shock Treatment. Oh, that's a shame. In 1976, a musical version is made by Ken Hill. This would inspire some jobber by the name of Andrew Lloyd Webber, who had the idea of the two collaborating to create his own Phantom of the Opera. But Webber decided to go on with his own version of the Phantom of the Opera with his producer Cameron McIntosh, I don't know. And I don't know. I think they're going to do all right. Best of luck to him. To be fair, best of no, that's true. Best of luck to Andrew Lloyd Webber and Cameron McIntosh on their own Phantom. I hope they do just as well as Ken does. Maybe better. Who knows? But Ken did the first musical. Who knows? We're just going to have to wait and see, aren't we? In 1983, a television film is created. Now set in Budapest, the opera house diva commits suicide and her husband sets out his plan to get revenge on everyone he deems responsible. So it's this whole revenge thing. It's weird. Again, loosely based on the book. Basically, it's called Phantom the Opera. It ain't. And then in 1986, Andrew pops back up with his Phantom. Uh-oh. Andrew Lloyd Webber's is revealed the Phantom of the Opera, the longest running musical on Broadway and has run for 34 years on the West End. But whenever someone says, do you know the Phantom of the Opera? This is what they talk about. This is what they're talking about. This is what they're talking about. This is what they're talking about. Do you get the drift now? And in 1989, Freddy Krueger of all people. Huh? Robert Englund would turn the Phantom into a more horrific character. And I mean horrific. Again, little bit based on the book, but a little bit changey. But I like this one. The Phantom is a man who sold his soul to the devil to be loved for his music, but at a price that he would only be loved for his music and he would never find love for himself. The advertising for this film was very cheap. It was literally Robert Englund was Freddy, he is now the Phantom of the Opera. They're playing on the fact that Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger, but it did taint a bit, but I did like this version, to be fair, I did. In 1990, a television miniseries was created starring Charles Dance. This one follows as Eric's friend is dismissed from the opera house, meaning Eric has no longer any influence over the opera house. Remaining anonymous, he begins teaching Christine vocal lessons. It's a good one, it's got this bounce off all this stuff. And then it turns dark. People start getting jealous of Christine's fame, as they always do, but with this one, It even gets to the part where the Phantom sat in his box, Christine singing on stage, they end up actually singing together. The audience love it, and then all hell breaks loose. Upon singing alongside Christine, the police are there to capture him, and after saving Comet Felipe Dejagny, he is shot falling to the street. This one brings in his father, his old background, and changing the history, but it looked good, it felt good, and would I say that the changes were bad? Not really. Did they improve on the story? Not really. It was just another adaptation. However, this mini-series was actually influenced by the musical that would come out the next year called Phantom. This, however, only ran for a year, as with few backers invested, and with Lloyd Webber's being, this show was scrapped, but has received over 1,000 productions worldwide. So well done. And to be fair, people who have already performed in Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera have gone on to perform in this one too. And the Ken Hill version. It's very popular in Japan. In 1998, an Italian horror film was created, but this Phantom is not disfigured. In this one, Raoul runs away, Phantom's shot and stabbed, and Christine cries. And finally, in 2004, Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical hits the big screen. With Joel Schumacher in control, this would be a little strip back from the musical. Same story, same music, just a little less on a larger scale. I see what they were going for, don't want to give too much away, otherwise you're not going to buy a ticket to come watch the show in the West End. When it comes to the battle of which is the best musical ever, Les Mis and The Phantom are the two top dogs in my opinion. It is, whether it goes back and forth, Les Mis is the best, Phantom's the best, Les Mis is the best. Les Mis is the longest running musical on London's West End, Phantom is the longest running show on Broadway, and now both of them in the last couple of years are having their new productions in the West End. But for me, when it comes to the battle, Phantom's always won. As I showed you earlier, I've got the 7-inch single that was released, where Sarah Brightman and Steve Harley, and I'll show you the cool thing about this disc. Alright, ready? Ready? Exactly. Fuck off. When I found this, I was very happy. I was even more happy when I found the full original show on vinyl. This is 1987. Copyrighted. So, very happy. But what did you think of this brief history of the Phantom of the Opera? Have you got any suggestions of who you want to see me do a brief history of? Obviously, I'm not doing the musicals, I'm doing characters. Main characters, whether it's the bad guy, the good guy, I don't give a fuck. Just send someone through. I've done a lot of good guys, I've done a lot of bad guys, but who do you want to see done next? Comment down below your suggestions, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already, because when you subscribe, you impact the channel so much. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. My name's Ash Lynch, and this was the brief history of the Phantom of the Opera.